Right. Oh, it's Sunday afternoon. It's like almost evening, isn't it? And we don't know how many people are going to join us because it's that weekend of the 15th. And yeah, people are getting ready to um, go to work tomorrow. They're busy preparing themselves for the new week. And some are traveling from the various places where they went to over the weekend and also during the day. So we don't know how this is going to go. But let's give it 3 minutes and see who's joining us. And either way, I just felt like just coming online today again and just basically ranting about a few things. So let's see how it goes. So as we are busy waiting, I want to talk about the video from last week. You know what happened with last week's video, and that's the recording. It's actually a few days ago. As I was busy recording, doing the live, when I went back to listen, I saw that there was a lot of interference. A huge portion of that recording actually had many glitches in it, and so my message was not effectively transmitted, and that's quite unfortunate because I really had some very important points to make on that recording. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And yeah, I do apologize though. I definitely do apologize for that because that's not how I wanted the message to come across. But at some point, it's like the network just started going bad. Okay. So let's see how we're doing. Let's see how we're doing. I know this is definitely one of those challenging times for people to come online. So I understand. What are we going to talk about today? I've got 7 points as usual. Sometimes I have more, but today I have 7 points. Most of the time, it's just typically 7 points. And what I want to talk about is, a few things that have transpired, of course, with regards to this immigration crisis that we are dealing with. And I think if you are affected, if you are on the receiving end of this immigration crisis, then you will probably be aware that this is a worldwide issue and it's not just a South African issue. I witnessed it happening in America over the past few years, and it's only this year that the new president of America has brought it to a halt. But basically, that country was getting destroyed by this whole immigration thing. And so I see the same thing happening in UK as well. I see the same thing happening in Ghana as well. I see the same thing happening in many other countries. I think um, there was another Asian country where I was seeing this happen, where Nigerian foreign nationals who were illegal at that point were fighting against the police of that particular country because of one or two things that they felt were not going right. And the Nigerian nationals were actually even taking the video themselves, pleading with social media to basically, spread the message, show the world how they are being treated in that country. And yet they, the Nigerian foreign nationals, the illegal ones, were actually in the wrong. It was an Asian country. Okay, so, but what I was noticing there is that it's the same thing that happens across the board, where you just have this thing where somewhere, somehow, the government gets compromised. And once that happens, you then begin to see this whole thing of now let's begin to integrate all different types of people and cultures together in our country. But the citizens of the country are usually excluded from the conversation. And what happens is that they just find themselves one day they wake up and buses and buses, loads of people have been shipped into the country. They are now living in your hotels. They are now, living in some of the buildings. They have hijacked your buildings, and they have taken over, massive parts of the country, and you don't know how it happened. And of course, the country begins to deteriorate, and the culture even of the country begins to be diluted, and it begins to deteriorate, and crime just skyrockets, and everything goes bad. So it's not a South African problem that we are dealing with. It's an international problem. It's a worldwide problem. I could even say that this is a global problem. Okay. But of course, I am speaking here as a South African today. So, and I also just need you to tell me if at any point in time there are any glitches in the connection, because I noticed that in the previous recording, there were a lot of glitches. There were a lot of things, just basically everything was just cutting as I was busy talking. So let me know at any point in time if the line goes bad. Just let me know if you are struggling to hear me, or if the line is going bad or anything like that, so that we can see how we can, if there's anything that we can do about it. All right. So you are all welcome. So anyway, as I was saying, so this is a serious problem. We could even say that this is a global problem, because this is a globalist agenda. And the whole aim is to basically render the world ungovernable, to render the world chaotic, to create some kind of a war, you know, um, throughout the world, to make the world so unbearable that eventually, there's going to be that whole system that's going to be that so-called, one world government type of a situation. That's pretty much what is being intended here. So they want to bring everyone together. They want to pull everyone together, and the countries that are still sovereign, the countries that are still functioning, the countries that still are viable, those are the ones that are targets for these globalists. Okay, so they are being targeted, and the aim is to destroy them so that they can be as broken as all the other countries that have collapsed all over the world. And once that happens, then there's no more sovereignty. So this is a war against sovereignty. It's a war against selfhood of various countries. And once the selfhood of your country has been taken away from you, your own selfhood is also taken away as an individual. You understand? And this is how then we, literally, as the whole world, as humanity, we lose our individuality, we lose our sovereignty, we lose our selfhood to global powers. You understand? So imagine 8 billion people being under the control of a few, like literally a select group of people. And in the same way as they are doing now, for example, if you are a South African, you have seen how that we have a cold and colors government, a cold and colors president who could not give a rat's ass with regards to what happens with us as the citizens of the country. I was just watching the Citizen Concerned now. This is a channel here on YouTube, and she was talking about 100 people having to share one chicken. You understand? So this is an analogy that she was making, and this is something that is pretty much going to continue if we allow it to happen. It's currently happening at a national level, but it's something that's going to continue to, if we don't do anything about it, it's going to end up happening at a global or at a worldwide level. So this one chicken that we are all having to share in the country with the world is going to continue to be the very same chicken that we're going to have to share literally globally, because these global leaders, these so-called elites that want to create this globalism type of a movement, or this one world power, one world government, one world situation, they want to paralyze and destabilize the world to an extent whereby there are very, very limited little resources, and everyone is scrambling for survival. And basically, from time to time, they'll just show up and they'll just be scolding you, like on TV, like how Ramaphosa does to the citizens of the country now. From time to time, he shows up, and whenever it is that he shows up, he just scolds the citizens of the country. He will be busy telling us, you should not, we do not condone xenophobia. So, meaning he is not interested in what he is not even asking, what's the problem, my fellow citizens? What's the problem? What's wrong here? How can we work around this? And it's, the sad part is he could be asking what's the problem, but let's face it, he knows what the problem is, but he's not interested because his goal, his objective is to achieve one thing and one thing alone, which is the destabilization of the country. All right. So the first point that we're going to touch is this national dialogue, of course, that has already transpired. And of course, everyone is talking about how chaotic it is. Hello, everyone. You are welcome. So I'm going to read the comments towards the end of the live, and then we can chit chat a little bit about whatever it is that you would have brought up here. All right. So the national dialogue, very chaotic, very problematic, and of course, it's a national dialogue, isn't it? It's a national dialogue. National dialogue. But guess who's invited there? Foreigners. Okay. It's a national dialogue, but it's somehow it includes foreigners. So foreign nationals have interest in our national dialogue, but very, very important civic movements like Operation Dudula have been excluded from this, and many others as well. Many very important civic movements have been excluded from this national dialogue. So it's already clear there that the interests of the government are not with the people. The interest of this government, and let's face it, if this government really, really cared about South Africans, there wouldn't even be a national dialogue to begin with. Because the first thing that this government would have done, because an empathic leader or empathetic leader is able to attune to the needs of the citizens, because it doesn't take a genius, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out what South Africans are wanting. South Africans want a safe country. South Africans want jobs. South Africans want a safe country to live in. You understand? They want to not have to share their resources with the whole world. That's what South Africans want. We want a safe country. We want a clean country. We want services to be delivered. We want proper water and electricity. We want things to be affordable. We want jobs. And we want to live in a safe place. I don't know how many times I can keep repeating this thing, safe, because our country is no longer safe. We live like prisoners because it's not safe to be in our country. You understand? So any leader that is compassionate and empathetic towards its citizens automatically knows these things, because, as I said, it doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. Yeah, but he's not interested. The first thing that he could have done was close the borders. But because he's not interested in the country, he just wants us to talk whilst the country is under siege. Because the country is under siege. We are under siege. We have been taken over. Every single aspect of our government has been taken over. Every single aspect of our economy has been taken over. Everything. We as South Africans are now living as foreigners in our own country. We are even being told to shut up by foreigners. We are disrespected by foreigners in our own homeland. You understand? They have the right to tell us that Africa is for everyone and a whole lot of things like that, things that they do not do in where they come from. Right? So what does this president say when he does his speech? He asks questions. He just reminded me of that president of Nigeria who was asking the interviewer, he's asking the interviewer, so what are we producing here? This is the whole president asking the interviewer about his own country. He says, what are we doing here? What are we producing here? Why are we not producing anything in this country? What kind of a country is this? Why are we not producing anything, even the skin of the cow? Instead of producing something with it, we are eating it. That's poverty mentality. That's him talking. But what is he saying? Where is he even going with it? Out of touch with reality, out of touch with his people, out of touch with anything and everything. And that's pretty much what Ramaphosa was doing. He was literally mimicking that president there. So that tells you a whole lot about which direction this man is trying to take our country to. Because you cannot, as a president, a whole president of a country, be asking us as the citizens or telling us that we need to ask ourselves, why is it that, medication in hospitals runs out? Really? You're asking us as the citizens, why is it that, the wealth of the country is with the few and the rest are living in, poverty? You are asking us as the citizens, you are asking us to ask ourselves that question. And then, of course, he then starts taking the direction towards the fact that the problem has to do with white people. So we're taking the conversation to that whole racial thing. I want to tell you now, if you are still caught up, here's the thing, there are racists in this world. And in this country, there are racists. You understand? White people who do not like black people, who hate black people with a passion. But you need to understand, this is not the battle that we are fighting. It has never been and it will never be the battle that we are fighting. Anytime someone convinces you that we are fighting a racial battle, I promise you, they are deceiving you. We are fighting oppression. That's what we are fighting. And yes, it can come in the form of white people, but it can also come in the form of black people. Do not be deceived. Here in South Africa, right now, as the general citizens, we are under siege. And the people that have colonized and seized us as a country are black people. And every time we cough out, every time we cry out, and we call out this issue, they remind us that we are black. They gaslight us to tell us that no, we can't be colonizing you because we are black. You understand? They are telling us, no, we can't be colonizing you but they have colonized us. They have taken over our country. You understand? We are not fighting a racial battle. So there are racists, there are tribalists, there will always be people that have some nefarious type of an agenda against some other group of people. You understand? There'll always be some people who have an issue with a certain group of people. So that whole thing of using this whole race card as the real reason as to why it is that certain situations are the way that they are and a whole lot of things, do not buy into it. Throughout the world, different race groups, different nationalities, different tribes, different groups of people have always been fighting with each other for territory, for power, for domination. This is how human beings have been operating because of the level of evolution that we have been operating at. It has nothing to do with race or anything like that. It has to do with different groups of people wanting to assert their dominance. And at any point in time, it can be any group, it can be anyone. So if you are stuck in that mindset of the fact that your enemy is the white person, you are going to be deceived. And by the time you wake up, it might be too late. We are fighting oppression and it can come from any level. Here on this channel, I will tell you, we are fighting narcissism because that is the main spirit that seeks to oppress. Hence, I was just looking now at the post before I started doing this recording, and I saw, in the narcissism community streets, they are saying a narcissist would rather impress strangers than take care of his own family. You understand? Isn't that what's happening here with our country? Isn't that what is happening with every single country that is dealing with this migration crisis? The government would rather make sure that the foreigners are well taken care of, well catered for. Anytime a foreigner coughs, the government comes running. Meanwhile, the citizens of the country are living in the streets. The citizens of the country are suffering, jobless. And when the citizens start crying out, you are told you are lazy. You are too arrogant. You are proud. There are certain things that you wouldn't do, blah, 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 blah. You are being gaslit. And it's not a white man that is doing it. It's a black man that is doing this. And you can still say, oh, he has white handlers and everything. Here's the thing. What kind of a black man is willing to sell out his own people? What kind of a black man is that? The fault still remains with him because the office that he's occupying together with his goons, he's clearly not taking it seriously. He has no respect for it. All right. So that's the national dialogue there. Very chaotic. People are busy fighting. A whole lot of craziness is going on there. It's like, yeah, once again, what are the foreigners doing in the national dialogue? Because they've got their own countries, they should be dialoguing in their own countries. Okay. They should be having these conversations in their own countries with their own presidents. What are they doing here? All right. So, number two, what's happening in the social media streets? Okay. So, what we are seeing in the social media streets is the level of disrespect and the level of hatred that foreign nationals are displaying towards South Africans. So basically, our government has put us in such a terrible position that even the foreign nationals see and know that they can literally just disrespect us and get away with it. You should see how foreign nationals, when they go to public clinics and they demand free healthcare, how arrogant they are, how entitled they are. You understand? This is what our government has done. This is how our government has literally incentivized them to disrespect us as citizens. A whole immigrant, a whole illegal immigrant will be telling a South African, who are you? Who are you? Who are you to tell me I shouldn't do this? You are not educated. You don't know these things. You have no right to do this and this and that. But we all know these are not the kind of things that you, as a foreigner in their country, would do. And also, they themselves would not do that in their own country. They're literally doing this because they know they can get away with it here in South Africa. Because this is where banana situations happen, isn't it? This is where people get to, be themselves. They don't get to be themselves in their own countries. They are too restricted. They are too afraid of authority and everything. But here in South Africa, there's no such thing as authority. Because have you seen how South African police walks out here in the streets? There's nothing as, I don't want to lie. Our South African police service, and I know it's not all of them, but I don't want to lie. A whole lot of them are quite disappointing. You see them walking in the streets wearing uniform, and the way the person is walking, just their mere walk, it just tells you a whole lot about what caliber of people is this that you are dealing with. It's not impressive. It's not anything to be proud of. It's not anything to be, someone who is part of law enforcement is someone who is supposed to exert a certain level of dignity and authority. When you look at that person, it's like you just can't help but admire and revere the office that they are representing. But that's not the case with South African police. Typically here in South Africa, they look like just any other person. They I don't know, it's like it's very difficult to distinguish between the energy of a South African police and the energy of a taxi driver here in South Africa. You understand? It's like you're just dealing with someone who I don't know. I don't know how what kind of quality is it that I could attribute to our South African police, but it's definitely not dignified. It doesn't say dignity, it doesn't say authority, it doesn't say someone that's worth respect. And it's quite sad because that's the very same reason why foreign nationals are so disrespectful towards South Africa, because there's little to no law enforcement. The worst part is where you actually find out that our own South African law enforcement is actually afraid of foreign nationals. Our own law enforcement, they are afraid of foreign nationals. If these Somalian people decide to gang up against our South African police, usually when those kind of things happen, our South African police are the ones that run away. You understand? Whenever it is that they end up clashing with each other, our South African police always end up having to run from Somalian foreign nationals. I mean, this is really disappointing. This is embarrassing. All right. So another thing that we are noticing here in the social media streets is that foreign nationals are not willing to look at things from our perspective as South Africans or as the citizens. They're not willing to understand our plight. They're not willing to see where we are coming from. They're not willing to empathize or to work with us in any way. You know, someone was even making an example about the fact that, let's face it, we know that majority of the crime here in South Africa, even statistically, it's been proven, majority of the crime here in South Africa is committed by foreign nationals. And whenever it is that there are South Africans, those South Africans would literally just be playing some kind of an additional role or some kind of a role where they sort of like will be opening doors. And of course, I mean, that on its own is also condemned. But the point is, the crime, majority of the crime is being committed by foreign nationals. And so this person was saying, you know, it's so disappointing because you don't see any foreign nationals, even the good ones, even the ones that are here legally and they are doing the right things or whatever it is that you might call it. Because let's face it, there are very, very few rare skills that these people are occupying. Majority of them are occupying roles that should be occupied by South Africans. Okay, because majority of South Africans are unemployed and the roles, the positions that they should be occupying have been occupied by foreign nationals. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My point is that even the good ones, even the good foreign nationals, they are not, working with South Africans to say, we can see our fellow brothers and sisters are destroying this country. We can see that what they are doing is wrong, the crime and everything. So let's, form groups to say foreign nationals against crime in South Africa. Let's form those kind of groups. Foreign nationals against the abuse of South African women. Foreign nationals against, corruption in South Africa. No, they are not doing that. They are literally just keeping quiet, or else they are defending themselves and each other. You understand? But anything that has to do with the plight and suffering of South Africans at the hands of foreign nationals here in South Africa, the foreign nationals, the good ones, they are not helping us out. They don't care. They're not interested. You are either getting silence or you are getting defense from them. Very rarely are you going to get foreign nationals busy fighting on behalf of South Africans. Shout out to Uncle P, okay, because he's one of those few people that he's a channel. He has a channel here on YouTube. He's one of those few people that are actually supporting South Africans. He's fighting for South Africans. He is really, doing the best. Well, of course, via social media, but the little bit that can be done, we appreciate it. Let's all do something. It's better than doing nothing. You understand? So, yeah, these people are not willing to see things from our side. Okay, they don't care. They don't have that empathy, and it looks like even the mindset on its own, there's no capacity to be able to see things from our perspective. So, which means it's very much futile for us to even try and negotiate with them. That's the reality. It saddens me. It really hurts every time I see South Africans busy negotiating and arguing with foreign nationals. It's like, yeah, what has happened here? Is this a nightmare or what? How did we get to this point where we are having to negotiate? Like, can you imagine in your own house negotiating with someone who has broken into your house, an uninvited guest? And you are negotiating with them, trying to help them understand why it is that you cannot share that one chicken with 100 people who have broken into your house, literally jumped the fence and gotten in. They want to eat that chicken with you. They are demanding that it's their human right to eat that chicken with you. Never mind, your children might go to bed hungry. Never mind, your children might die. It doesn't matter. There are 100 of them. They want that chicken as well, and they feel entitled to it. And you are having to explain yourself to say, you know what, you need to understand that this chicken, I bought it. It's the last one, and it's for me and my children, and it's not going to be enough for all of us. And it really does break my heart, because this is where South Africans are right now. And worst part, then there are some people here in South Africa, South Africans who are busy saying, leave the foreigners alone. And it's like, yeah, how on earth did we get to this point? How did we get here where we alone in South Africa are having to negotiate with foreign nationals about things that are very, very obvious, things that are common sense knowledge. Because how do you know this is common sense knowledge? Because in their own countries, that's how the law is. We are not introducing any new laws. You understand? There's no new laws that we are introducing here. These are things that are very common throughout the world and even throughout the continent. This is something that everyone knows. Everyone knows that we should not be doing this. Everyone knows you don't cross borders illegally, you don't overstay your welcome. When you come into a country, it's typically to contribute critical skills. When you go into another country, you are supposed to have medical certificate, you're supposed to have some kind of an insurance. When you come into a country, you don't come and commit crime. Like there's a whole lot of things that you don't go and, disadvantage the citizens of the country. You respect the rules and laws of that country. You humble yourself and you don't start coming and asserting your dominance and your right. And you definitely don't come and take over that. So everyone knows exactly what needs to happen. So what is it that's preventing these people from doing the right thing? They're doing this deliberately because they know they can get away with it. That's why. They do not care. So that whole thing of Ubuntu, that whole thing of you are my brother, my sister from another mother, that whole thing of we are African, Africa unite, it does not exist. It's only a manipulation. It's a manipulation tactic from these people. They only mention it whenever it is that we are calling them out. But in true reality, they are not practicing it. Because the way that they have treated our country, it shows the disdain that they have towards us. They have no respect for us. They do not care. And they do not even have the capacity. They have not opened themselves and they're not willing to do it. They're not willing to, look at things from our perspective, to empathize and to even work with us. They're not, for them, the way they're looking at this situation, because remember, these people are coming from broken countries. They have destroyed their own countries. And so when they come here, all this beauty that they see that we have taken for granted. Just the other day, I was looking at another video on social media, and someone was saying it was the first time I saw McDonald's was here in South Africa. McDonald's that we take for granted. Okay. We take McDonald's for granted because it's like, beggars and everything. And sometimes people make, stories about it saying that McDonald's is basically, human meat or whatever. We don't know what we don't know. But the point is, we overlook such kind of things that we have, a whole lot of luxuries that we have in this country. We overlook them. The fact that you can drive into a city and there's or into a town and there's all these beautiful lights. You've got tar roads, you've got a lot of things that are working properly in this country. We take these things for granted. And there are people, many, many people that are coming from countries that have none of these things. Can you imagine a person telling a whole adult saying, the first time I saw McDonald's was in South Africa? That was the first. So meaning they don't even have this kind of chain restaurants in their countries where they are coming from. You understand? So there are a lot of things that we take for granted as the citizens of this country that these people do not have where they come from. A lot of luxuries that we take for granted here that these people do not have where they are coming from. And so when they come here, unfortunately, because of the mindset, because remember, these people have not been able to evolve beyond wherever it is that their colonizers left them. Instead of evolving, they regressed. They literally just went down further into, that survival mode, that survival mindset. So look at the things that they do to each other in their own countries. They have very little to no care, no value for human life. You understand? They do not respect human life. Where they come from, they do not respect each other's lives, each other's well-being. So when they come here, they're not going to do anything differently. So we cannot rely on them to self-regulate because they have failed to self-regulate in their own countries. So how on earth are they going to self-regulate here in South Africa? So they're going to come here and they're going to find all these wonderful things. And then guess what? It's free for all. There isn't even any law. We have laws, but there's no law enforcement. We have a working country, but we don't really have a government. So what are they going to do? They're going to do what they are used to doing, which is plummet, plunder, destroy. That's what they're going to do. And that's what they have been doing. And so now when you as a South African start saying, no, but you can't do this, and this is wrong, please understand that you are hurting us as South African, they could not be bothered. They could not be bothered. So us as South Africans trying to negotiate with these people, we are wasting our time. We are wasting our energy trying to have conversations with them. I mean, I've never ever seen such a thing in my whole entire life. I've only seen it with narcissism. I've only ever seen it with it. It's like you tell them, but the law says you must do this and this and that. They'll always have an answer why it is that they mustn't do it. If you are an illegal immigrant, or if you are a foreigner, you're supposed to, have medical aid, and you're supposed to go to a private hospital. They'll come back and say, okay, do you say the same thing to white people? Why are you saying it to only black people, but you don't say it to white people? Like, it doesn't matter what you say. They will always have an answer for you as to why they're not going to do what you're wanting for them. It does not matter. You understand? Even if you can, show them statistics about the amount of crimes that have been committed by foreign nationals here in South Africa, they're still going to have an answer to you. They're going to tell you about how white people have done the same thing to South Africans as well. So I suppose the implication there that they're trying to bring about is the fact that basically they are justified in doing whatever it is that they're doing, because after all, we let the white people do it. You understand? Like, there's no reasoning with these people, none whatsoever. They are not prepared to see things, from a common sense, logical, empathetic, and compassionate perspective, because those are the territories that they have not gotten to, play in. They have not evolved to that level. You understand? These people have compassion. Compassion doesn't exist in most countries in Africa. Do you understand? These things that we take for granted here as South Africans. Because, as I say, I deal with a lot of South Africans, a whole lot of people here in South Africa. South Africans understand compassion, empathy. That's why we keep saying Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Ubuntu. A lot of countries in Africa do not understand, and it's not just in Africa, and in other parts of the world, particularly like Middle East and all of that. They do not understand compassion. We take it for granted. But there are people that that whole thing of compassion, of empathy and everything, it's far-fetched to them. It doesn't even exist. It's survival of the fittest. It's like, make it by all means. It doesn't matter. As long as you have money, we worship you. You could be evil. It doesn't matter how you even get your riches. As long as you have your riches, it's fine. We will respect you. And also, of course, it's a dog-eat-dog world. So be careful, because we might just kill you for your money. But that's pretty much how it goes, how it works with them. So those type of people, you cannot reason with. You can't be busy trying to help them understand why it is that they should not be accessing healthcare, public healthcare in South Africa. They're not going to get it. They don't care. They want what they want, and they are going to get it by all means necessary. They don't care. The only thing that is going to stop them is force. You understand? The only thing, so if our law enforcement were to do their job and literally just say, nope, you're not going in here, they would not be, having these arguments with us. They're doing it because they can do it. And as long as they can do it, they will keep doing it. That's why even, after all these groups have been stopping them from accessing public health, they keep going. They keep going because the government hasn't told them not to. The police has not told them not to. And so they don't care. They don't care how it affects South Africans. And guess what? It's South Africans who are paying for this free healthcare services. It's South Africans, because it's the taxpayers' money that is funding everything that is free in South Africa. The budget comes from, so basically, if you say in this country, there's only, let's say, 20 million people who are paying tax. We're talking about income tax here. If there's only 20 million people, that means this 20 million people are carrying South Africa across the board. Every single thing that is being provided for free here in this country is being paid for by those 20 million people. And then over and above, the whole country, the whole continent that comes here that says we are everyone and everything belongs to everyone here in this country, then this 20 million people have to take care of 8 billion people, basically. Remember that analogy? One chicken, 100 people are having to eat that one chicken. You, as a South African, struggling, a huge chunk of your income is going into tax. And then that tax has to take care of everyone else. And guess what? Your mother, your child, your cousin, your friend might not even get to enjoy that because foreign nationals, they know how to queue very early in public hospitals and public clinics. They know how to, I don't know how they have mastered this. We've been sleeping the whole time and they've been doing this thing, studying and monitoring us. They know exactly how it is that they can cut the queues in every single thing. When a South African is looking for a job, a South African is not going to get the job, but the foreigner is going to get the job. When it comes to school, spaces in school for children to be able to get access to schools, South Africans are not going to get schools, but foreigners are going to get this into the school. When it comes to like everything, when it comes to healthcare, South Africans are going to give birth on the floor, but foreigners are going to have beds. They're going to occupy the beds in the hospitals. So, but everywhere, they have found a way to basically jump the queues. South Africans don't know how to access buildings, hijacked properties. And when it comes to Johannesburg, there are so many places, so many houses, so many buildings, so many properties that are vacant. People literally just left those places. I know because I lived there. People have left their mansions, huge mansions, and they have disappeared. God knows what has happened to them. And South Africans would not go and occupy those places, but guess who's going to do it? Foreign nationals. And guess what's going to happen? No one is going to remove them. Because the minute you start saying, no, but these people are occupying these places, illegally, then they'll start saying, did you give them a court order? How on earth do you give an illegal foreign national a court order? A criminal, this person is not even supposed to be here to begin with. How on earth do you give them a court order? How on earth do you get a court interdict to remove a foreign national, an illegal foreign national, from your property? Takes us to that statement that says, a narcissist would rather impress strangers than take care of his own family or children. Okay, so literally, our law enforcement, our government is saying, it's okay, you South Africans can be homeless. It's fine. When South Africans begin to occupy places and everything, very, very easy, very quickly, the government is able to step up against you. When you do anything wrong as a South African, they come after you like nobody's business. But let foreign nationals do something wrong. No, somehow there's some kind of special laws and clauses that are applicable for them, isn't it? So we as South Africans, if we don't do anything, if we do not do anything, the country is already gone. That's something that people keep saying, oh no, the country is about to go, things are about to get worse. And I'm like, you are playing. The country is already gone. It's gone. It's gone. If our children can find themselves in a position where they are struggling to find space in schools, in public schools, all because the spaces have been occupied by foreign nationals, then that tells you that the country is gone. If foreign nationals can occupy buildings and everything, and our own law enforcement says, no, we can't take them out. Meanwhile, South Africans are homeless, living in the streets. Then that tells you the country is gone. Okay. If foreign nationals can occupy key positions in government and very, very important, offices within the country, that tells you the country is gone. We're talking about things like spazas. So as a South African, do you know that if you try and open your spaza, you will be sabotaged? That spaza will not survive because the spaza economy has been taken over. So every group of foreign nationals, they have taken over a certain sector of the country or a certain sector of the economy, and they rule and reign over that sector. And South Africans are excluded in the same way that very important civic movements have been excluded from the national dialogue. How is it that this is one of those things that tells you the country is gone? Because how is it that we're having a national dialogue and then local civic movements, they are excluded, but foreign nationals are included? Whose interests are foreign nationals representing in South Africa? All right. So, number 3, ANC has sold our country. Okay. Our country has been sold. Literally, our country has been sold to the highest bidder, has been sold to foreign nationals, has been sold to forces in the Middle East as well. Okay. So anyone that has money, anyone that is willing, we have seen it, this problem of chocho. In the beginning, we used to laugh at it. We used to think, you just give them chocho because they're trying to give you a ticket, and then you give them chocho, and then at least you don't get the ticket. We used to laugh at that initially. We didn't realize how big and problematic and far-reaching this whole thing of chocho is, bribery. Okay, because now it literally has moved from that thing whereby you just give this person 50 rands for cold drink so that you don't get a ticket. It has moved all the way to people who are holding very important key positions in our country, making very, very important decisions for the direction that our lives are supposed to be taking as the citizens of this country. It has moved to that level where you can bribe this person, a home affairs official, a police official, a police officer, some minister. You bribe these people with money. You tell them, okay, fine, I give you 60,000 rands. I give you 1,000,000 rands. And these people have all this money because they are criminals, criminal syndicates. That's what they are. So you are an official, you are corrupt, and you need the money. God knows whether you really need it or not, because also, that's still, I don't know, one of those things that we can still question. But they will come and give you this money. And this is what has happened in this country. People have received funds from people that they should not be receiving funds from. And we hear this every day about the fact that police, our own police, they are being paid by this, spaza shop monopolies. They are being paid by foreign nationals to protect them. They literally, they are on the payroll of foreign nationals. So in order for these foreign nationals to protect their own interests, they've got our own law enforcement in their own pockets. Don't bother me. Make sure that your citizens don't bother me, and then I will make sure that you are okay financially. It has happened with the police. It has happened with everyone else that holds a very important position in our country. Our country is gone. People have been paid to sell us out. The Middle East. The Middle East, this is, it was a third point to point number 3, but I'm going to take it to point number 4 as well, to say, by the Middle East here, I'm talking about this, and this is going to sound a little bit offish, it's going to sound a little bit wrong, as a spiritual person, I definitely, I believe in that freedom of, religion. I really do believe that, but I have to be honest here. I do have a qualm with the Middle Eastern religion, this Arabic, Middle Eastern Islamic type of religions. I do have a qualm with it. I believe that there are extremists that come typically from those particular groups that I am quite concerned about. Okay, so my point number 4 for me is to ask you: do not support things that have to do with this Islamic extremist type of movements and countries that have to do with it. There's just something about this group of people energetically as well that is definitely not right. there's a way that they operate that is, very problematic. And the way that I have seen it is that they also work with the globalists. So it's almost as if they are a tool of the globalists as well, because the globalists, as much as, yes, there's a whole lot of things that we can still talk about where they are concerned. But the way I see it is that we've got this thing where, they use the various religions, of course, they don't just use one religion. And they use various groups and cultures of people to achieve their objectives. But when it comes to this, extreme Islamic movements, there's just something about it where it seems like there's a group of Islamic extremists that are on their own agenda as well, that has to do with world domination. And I'm telling you, when you're looking at Islamic extremists in comparison with America, I'm telling you now, the devil you know is better than the devil you do not know. Okay. We don't know much about these extreme Islamic countries. But one thing that we can see is how they operate when it comes to their own people. You understand? First and foremost, this type of religions are very, very oppressive. They are oppressive, and they are, yeah, no, they are just too extreme. They are too extreme. They are, I don't know, they are devoid of important things that we as humanity value. You understand? There's a whole lot of things that we value that they don't seem to be having those things. They don't seem, there's a thing that I like to say, it's the valuing of human life. The valuing of human life. These people don't seem to have that. They don't seem to value life the way that we value. They seem to be, someone was talking about, for example, United Emirates type of places, where I think it's your Dubai and Abu Dhabi's and all of those things. And this person it's actually a guy who travels all over the world. And they were saying, top 10 or top 5 countries that I will never go to ever again, or I will never visit, something along those lines. And he was saying, um, he mentioned, one of these countries, I think, that are sort of like Islamist or something like that, or I think it was the United Emirates. And he was saying, I I do not I will never go there because it's really it's all about surface level stuff. It's I don't know, it, I'm finding it very difficult to describe it, but I know exactly what it is that he's talking about, because it's like, when you've got this thing that is, it's like you're in the middle of a desert, and you've got these beautiful buildings, and you've got these beautiful cities and everything, but there's just something about the whole thing that it's just devoid of life, of essence. And it's not the first person that I heard saying that. There are many other people who have gone there as well, who have said the same thing. They say it's beautiful, but it's empty. You understand? It's like, it's almost as if the people that created that type of a world are people that they value matter more than anything else. So it's they would rather create something that looks nice and shiny and very beautiful, but it has no soul in it. It has no essence. It has no, that thing that makes you feel. For example, one of the reasons why South Africans do not really like to leave their country, or even if people from South Africa go to other countries, they always miss South Africa. They always want to come back. And the reason for that is because the country has soul, it has essence, there's nature, there's something about it that still connects you to life. You understand? And those type of places, your Dubai's and everything, they don't have that. It's like they are very plasticky, if you can put it that way. All right. So, and the point that I'm trying to bring across here is it's pretty much almost as if that's just it sort of like tells you a story about what you are dealing with, the type of people that you are dealing with there. It's people who are more interested in material things than more interested in humanity. You understand? And so that's a concern for me. So we have seen over the past few years how that our country, South Africa, has been aligning itself with this type of countries. And I'm not excited about that because I do not trust those people at all. I do not trust those countries at all. I do not trust that they have any positive agenda for our country. There's nothing positive that I see them wanting to do for us here. Okay. They might come across as if, they are trying to liberate us from the white oppression of America, or they are trying to, do something better than what America is doing. I don't buy into it. I will still repeat, the devil you know is better than the devil you do not know. Okay, so these people should really be doing something great in their other countries, in their own countries, in countries that are associated with them. They really should not be doing anything here in South Africa. Our relationship and our history with America has not necessarily been that great, but I promise you, at least we understand the nature of that relationship. Both the good and the bad sides of it, we understand that relationship. And at least there's room for, maneuvering around that relationship. I don't trust these other people from the East. I don't trust them. I don't know what their motives are. I really do not know. But there's just something about the way that they operate that does not give me the comfort to say that these are the kind of people that we could trust with our country to say, okay, fine, let's cut ties with America. Let's align ourselves to these people. I don't see much of an issue with Russia per se. But when it comes to China and Iran, I do not trust them. I don't trust them at all. At all. I'll be honest with you. And I'm not saying Chinese people themselves are necessarily horrible people, or, Muslim people themselves. No, I'm talking about the leadership that we are dealing with there. I don't trust those people. And I'm not saying that even the leadership themselves are horrible people. Everyone is out for themselves here. Everyone is looking for world dominance. Everyone is trying to overthrow America so that they can become the world power. Okay. And even though there's nothing wrong with that, but the question is, what are these people going to do with that power once they get it? You understand? America has been a world power all this time. And yes, America has been doing a whole lot of things that are not necessarily positive with regards to the world. But the thing is this, why should we think, or why should we assume that things are going to be any better with all the others? We know what America is capable of when it comes to the dark side. We don't know what the other people are capable of. Why would we want to expose ourselves to that? So I would not support anything that would actually take America out of world dominance and put the East into world dominance. I would not support that. And not because I'm being biased or anything like that, but energetically, when I look at this whole thing, I don't see that as a viable option for anyone. So I really believe that the East is also supporting this madness that is currently happening in our country right now, this destabilization of our country, and also deliberately isolating us from America with all these nonsensical decisions that our government is making. The East is deliberately isolating us and separating us from America so that then they can be able to achieve whatever agenda that they would want to achieve with us. I don't believe that they have any positive intentions towards our country. So yeah, I don't support anything that has to do with this whole the BRICS thing. I honestly I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it. Um yeah, a lot of people have brought about their opinions with regards to that. People will say that South Africa is the lowest common denominator in the BRICS, and this is why Trump is actually attacking South Africa. And it's like, no, Trump started with China. He started with China. He started imposing tariffs on China. Then he dealt with Iran. And then now he's dealing with Russia. So he's dealing with all of them. You understand? He's dealing with all of them. He's not just dealing with South Africa. So that whole thing of Trump is attacking South Africa because of, no, he's dealing with anyone that is opposing the power that America is. And it's important. And I don't think people understand how important it is for America to actually remain in power as the world as the world power, like to dominate the world as they currently are right now. I don't think people understand how important it is. Any other country that is going to try and take over the position of America right now is going to destroy the world. People don't understand that. America at the moment is the only country that stands between globalism and sovereignty or nationalism of countries. It's America. America is the only country right now that is actually preventing this globalist agenda from taking place. So the left side of America is part of the globalist agenda. But the right side of America at the moment is against this globalist agenda, this one world order. So at the moment, because the one that is in charge of America is the right side, that's the only thing that is standing between humanity and the one world agenda, the globalist agenda. That's the only thing. So if you remove America from its dominance at the moment, you will basically be ushering in this one world government. Because the BRICS groups, they are coming across as if, no, we're just, trying to, liberate ourselves from, the heavy hand of America. America is so oppressive and everything. That's the picture that they are trying to create, to deceive and manipulate. But in true reality, the BRICS countries are actually uniting in order to bring about the globalist agenda. They are uniting to bring about this whole thing called one world order. That's what they're trying to do. And they know that their target is America. So for that reason, I do not support them. I'm not sure how aware is Russia of the whole thing. I don't know. Because I honestly, Russia, I don't have anything against it. I have very little against it. And I know, people might say that I should have something against it because of the issues that it has with Ukraine. But when I look at Ukraine, Ukraine is also part of that group that is part of the one world agenda. So for that reason, I don't trust Ukraine. I do have a qualm with them in that regard. Okay. So for me, I look at the various countries and I look at what agenda is this that they are pushing. So if a country is pushing a one world agenda, a globalist agenda, I just know already that that country is the enemy of humanity. And it's not the people necessarily per se, it's the government of the country that would be the ones that are pushing that agenda, isn't it? So number 5. Okay, so civic movements here in South Africa must definitely come together. Civic movements need to come together and they need to unite. Okay, here in South Africa and anywhere else where you've got this problem of this migration crisis. Okay, you definitely want civic movements to unite so that they can form one large group that is able to, have the necessary kind of weight and also be able to push against this agenda of the government. Okay, because foreigners have united. You've got various, groups that are representing foreign nationals here in South Africa. Various different groups, various types of groups. I mean, for heaven's sake, we even have the Human Rights Council here in South Africa that is pretty much a foreign national representative. So they have united, they have found a way to be able to organize themselves and to form groups that are representing their own interests against the interests of the citizens here. So even locals need to do the same thing. Okay, locals need to unite, civic groups, civic movements need to unite, and they need to form a huge body that is pushing against this government. And they need to like I think people need to understand how critical and how dangerous, the point, this juncture that we are in is. People need to, we are in a very, very dangerous place right now as a country. Okay, right now where we are, and I'm going to talk about a coup. I'm going to talk about a coup. The last point that I'm going to raise is going to be about the coup, because we right now, anytime someone could literally take over our country. And my concern is that if that person comes and takes over our country, who will this person be representing? Whose interests will this person be representing? Because it could pretty much be a foreigner as well. Do you understand how vulnerable our country is at the moment? Like literally, a foreigner could just pop up and say, I have taken over the country. Or some person who is a local citizen but representing the interest of foreign nationals could still come up and say, I have taken over the country. Or someone that would be representing the interest of Iran. Just like how we've seen this thing where we had our general, someone in a very, very high position in our military here was in Iran. And was it Iran or Iraq? Somewhere there. But they went there and they were busy discussing very important issues that has to do with our country. And no one knew about it. So meaning any day now, someone could literally wake up, we could wake up to a coup. Some military personnel could literally have taken over our country, and they would be representing the interest of people we know nothing about. So this is why civic movements need to really come together, unite, and begin to do something very radical, because there's no more negotiating with our government anymore. Our government is not willing to listen. Our government has no ears to hear us as the citizens. We've seen here that foreign nationals have taken over everything in our country. There's literally nothing left anymore for us as the citizens. Everything has been taken over by foreign nationals. And where the foreign nationals have not taken over, they are still represented by their money there, because they buy everything. They have seen that South Africans can be easily bought. So they buy everything. They buy their way into everything. So if civic movements do not come together and do something radical, we are in trouble. The way that our government is right now, I don't even trust them to be willing to wait for the next 4 years, for the next elections. You understand? I don't see them being willing to wait that long. I see them as, willing to do anything to destabilize and destroy our country. So, which means if they get an opportunity to even do a coup, and then it might look like someone else has taken over, but it's still the same people doing the same thing. I wouldn't put it past them. But I definitely don't see them willing to just let go of the power that they have, the control that they have over the country, and allowing order to come back and resume into our country again. I don't see them being willing to do that. Number 6, we need to put this whole thing of Africa Unite on pause. Okay. We definitely need to put this whole thing of Africa Unite on pause, because once again, this whole thing of Pan-Africanism and all of that, it's being used by nefarious forces for evil purposes. Okay. It's being used by wicked people for wicked reasons. Africa Unite Every time people tell you, let's Africa unite, when you look at the situation, it's not really Africa unite. It's let me take advantage of you. I'm black like you, so let me take advantage of whatever it is that you have as a country. These people have homes to go back to, they have other countries to go back to. They are used to the madness that is their countries. We as South Africans, we are not used to that life. We have no country to run to. We have nowhere else to run. They can always go back home. We don't have anywhere else to go. We could never, South Africans could never live in Nigeria. South Africans could never live in Zimbabwe. Very few, if there are any. But the typical South African could never live, could never survive in atmospheres, those environments. Even they themselves, let's face it, they don't want to live there. That's why they come here. I remember I had a friend that is from some other African country up top. And I don't remember how the conversation got to that point where I was asking them, why don't they go back? I was not even asking them, why don't they go back? They were telling me that they don't ever want to go back there. And I think I asked them why. And they said, there are too many mosquitoes. And then they don't want to be, to catch malaria or something like that. Or, so basically, whatever it is that that person was saying was that the atmosphere, the environment was not even conducive for, like basically human life, for a happy, content, peaceful human life. Like it's like everything is basically trying to bite you there, something like that. That's the point that she was trying to bring across, to say it's not nice being wherever it is that she comes from. So she would rather live here. Many of them would rather live here in South Africa than go back. But because of, evil intent, they don't mind to destroy our country because they can always go back. They can loot however much money that they loot when they go back to their countries. Usually their South African rands are always, 10 times more than whatever currency they have in their countries. So they can always build mansions for themselves and, have mosquito nets and a whole lot of things that they, air cons and things like that, that they wouldn't typically have. So they can create all of those things for themselves and they can live like royalty from the spoils that they would have gotten from South Africa. You understand? But as South Africans, where are we going to go? So let's not Africa unite at our own expense. We have Africa united for the past 30 years. It has failed. This was a failed mission. Look where we are now. In Sizulu, they'll say, ngikunika isandla ufuna ingalo yonke. Okay, I am giving you just one bit of my hand and you want the whole arm. Okay, this is what has happened here in South Africa. We have given foreign nationals a little bit, and instead of them appreciating and, I don't know, just I think they could have done something for themselves within the past 30 years, at least, to empower their countries to an extent whereby they don't need to be coming here and taking from us anymore. But instead, what we have done is we have created a situation where they have become so entitled that they have called even more of their, brothers and sisters and cousins and neighbors and everything. And now they have taken over our country and now they don't want to leave. That's what we have created. And this is what Africa Unite has yielded for us. So we cannot continue with Africa Unite because that it's not working. Africa Unite is not working. It's working against us as South Africans. It's taking away our culture. It's destroying and deteriorating anything and everything that we know as South Africans. I said in the previous video, these people do not even understand beauty. You understand, like beauty, like what a beautiful country looks like. They don't get it. They don't value it. They don't understand it. We are busy crying our beloved country here. They couldn't be bothered because they don't know what a beautiful country. And it's like, even if they see how beautiful this country, they cannot value it because these are not some of the principles that they have learned in their countries. These people wherever it is that they are coming from. They haven't learned to value beautiful things, beautiful structures, beautiful infrastructures, beautiful, buildings, clean atmosphere, clean environment, a lot of things that we here take for granted. These people have not learned to value them in their own countries. They don't know what to do with these things when they come across them. That's why when they come across, apartment buildings in town, what they do is they build shacks in those apartment buildings. Okay, they turn them into shacks. And they, buy, when they hijack, beautiful houses in suburbs, they don't know what to do with those things. So they're not going to do, even if they're collecting a whole lot of rent, they're not going to be doing anything. They wouldn't even be trying to maintain that building, that structure, that house so that it can look fine. No, they will let the whole thing fall up. They will run it to the ground so that even you, as a person that is passing by, you can see that that house has been hijacked, that house has been taken over. And you are even scared to pass there because it definitely looks like this is where criminals live. If you pass there, if you disappear there, you are probably never going to come out. So things like crime, things like a whole lot of things that we as South Africans see as foreign, those things are normal to them. These are the countries where people disappear every day. This is what has happened here to us in South Africa now. We have taken on people who live in our country. Now our people are disappearing every day. There isn't a single day where I look at social media and I don't find, stories about children that are missing. So it's peddling of drugs, it's people getting kidnapped, people being trafficked, people being, prostituted. Like, a whole lot of things, a whole lot of crimes would be happening in one little, house. But this is how they live, even where they come from. This is how they operate. This is how all this madness, all these things of 100 people living in one small space, this is what they are used to. So for us, we see it as strange and all of those things. This is what they are used to, and this is what they are trying to do here in our country. This is how they are trying to turn our country into something that is foreign, that is just abhorrent to us. So let's hold that whole Africa unite, because we are not uniting, we are just being taken over. Okay, we are being diluted, we are being perverted, we are being distorted, we are being destroyed. So let's not Africa unite now. Let everyone show us how beautiful they have been able to turn their. For example, we could once, what is this gentleman from Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore? Once he is done, beautifying his country, then we could say, let's Africa unite with him and his people. And even then, I still don't support this whole thing of cross immigration, open borders, everyone come one, come all. I don't support it. I will never ever support it ever again in my whole entire life. But at least we could, exchange critical skills. We could exchange ideas. We could be proud of each other. We could unite with each other, from a distance. We could do that. We could, have nice trade deals going on there. We could even, have ways in which we are able to exchange vital information and a whole lot of things, and, have some kind of allegiances and things like that. We could do those kind of things. But we would be doing it with a country that has fought for itself and has gotten itself back to its feet and has restored its own sovereignty and dignity. You understand? But countries that have broken down and collapsed, how on earth can we unite with them? Because once again, we are always coming from that position whereby we are wanting to help. We want you to get better. But you don't. Have you ever been in a relationship with a narcissist? Because you will be trying to build a person up who does not want to be built up. And every single hand that you extend to this person towards helping them get better, all you get is a spit on your face. and you get abused, you get misused, you get used. Okay, that's what happens when you are dealing with it. And unfortunately, people that are coming from survivalistic countries, countries that have been broken, have not evolved beyond the narcissism stage. And the narcissism stage is an infantile stage. When you are a child, you are operating from a narcissistic perspective because you can only focus on your survival, nothing else. You just want to make sure that you have eaten. You want to make sure that you have your toys, and that's that. You don't care about your mom. You don't care about your dad. You don't care where the food is coming from. You don't care where anything. You just want what you want. This is where these people are operating from. Okay. And now it becomes problematic because at least a child, you can still discipline them and everything. But when you're dealing with adults that have that type of a mindset, you cannot reason with them. You understand? Because the devil has taken hold of their mindsets now. Now they know how to reason because now you've got this infant that has gone to school. They've got all these degrees, but it doesn't matter how many degrees you have, the narcissism will always be there. Okay, it doesn't matter how many degrees, it doesn't matter how educated you are. As long as you have not evolved, from your childish mentality, you will always remain there. And this is what we are dealing with here. That's why, how they are using their education is to basically deceive us as South Africans, to manipulate us, to twist our constitution, to use every single thing, every single crack in the system against us. Because the narcissism prevents them from working with us. They're used to destruction, they're used to toxicity, they're used to chaos, they're used to madness, they're used to constantly being at war. They're always fighting. So let's put that whole Africa Unite on hold. Let's put it on pause, and then because this is not a racial war. People will say, oh, you don't want to unite with your Africans, but you are uniting with white people and all of those things. You know how they like to mock us as South Africans. But here's the thing, they are doing it everywhere. So wherever it is that they go, whatever little crack that they get, whatever little button that they are able to press, they will keep pressing it. When they are here in South Africa, they will tell us that you as Black people, you don't even have land, you are fighting us, we are the weakest. No, you're not the weakest link, because we're not dealing with 30 million white people here in South Africa that are trying to take over the country. We are dealing with 30 million Africans and Middle Eastern and Bangladeshi people here in South Africa that are taking over the country. So our biggest threat right now is not white people. Our biggest threat right now is our Black brothers and sisters or people of brown skin that are busy trying to destroy our country. White people have not hijacked buildings in town and turned them into shacks. White people have not turned our cities and towns into no-go areas, crime-ridden areas, and all of those things. Yes, there are a whole lot of things that white people are doing and have done that is wrong, but that's between us and them that we can deal with. But right now, we are talking about the crisis of illegal immigration. What has it done? And who are these illegal immigrants that are doing these things? It's Black people, Africans. So we cannot unite with you. This is not a racial war anymore. It's not. And if white people would have been doing what you as African people would, we would still be calling them out the same way. We've called them out before. We will call them out again. But right now, it's not them that are doing what is happening right now. It's you as Black people that are doing it. Okay, so this is a sovereignty war. It's a war against boundaries and against selfhood. This is what it is. So that whole thing of Africa Unite, it's a tactic, it's a manipulation, it's a way of people coming over and literally just destroying our country. Okay, it's a tactic. You come in the name, in Setswana we say menoma se upolao etseha. People come smiling here, they are hiding knives behind their backs, they're hiding daggers, and they are here to stab us. They have stabbed us in the back. There's a poem that Trump made, talking about the woman and the snake. I wish I could remember it. I wish I had it. Let me just quickly check here because I definitely want to read this poem. It's so, so beautiful. It's so, so, so beautiful, this poem. Let me just quickly have a look here to see. Here it is. Here it is. I definitely want to read this one. It says, um, it's about the woman and the snake. Okay, so on her way to work one morning, down the path alongside the lake, a tender hearted woman saw a poor, half frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Oh, well, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. And then, take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, said the snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a coverture of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and milk. Now she hurried home from work one night, and soon as she arrived, she found that the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. You are so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you would have died. Now she stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thanks, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you bit me. Why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, oh silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the snake. So that's that poem by, I think it's D.H. Lawrence. And this is the poem that Trump used to like, reciting during his campaigns, and he was making reference to this immigration issue. Okay, so here in our situation as South Africa, what has happened is, we saw our fellow Africans, and we saw them, especially the ones, our Zimbabwean brothers and sisters. We thought, okay, they're coming from a terrible place, things are very difficult for them, and so on and so forth. And then we said, let's bring them in to our country, let's open the borders, let's allow them to enjoy life with us and everything. And we saw so much potential in them, um, for basically being brothers and sisters with us here in this African Unite type of an environment. That's what we saw. And of course, just like this tender woman, we were tender to, them. We were tender, we were open, we were kind, we nursed them and everything. Many of them have built mansions for themselves back home, and all these wonderful things have happened in their lives. But what happened, to us as soon as they got revived, as soon as they got better, as soon as things started going well for them, what happened is that they started destroying us and our country. Crime started going rife. Our children keep disappearing every day. We live like prisoners in our own country. We are always afraid for our lives because crime is so rife. They have destroyed and polluted every single system in our country. So, I mean, let's face it, even though our people are bribable and they are corrupt, but the reality is that, did they have to bribe them then? Did they have, I mean, all these opportunities have always been available to them, but did they have to take things to the extent that they have taken them now? So they have now taken over every single thing in our country to the point whereby we as South Africans are now excluded from our own things. we have been excluded from our own healthcare, we have been excluded from our own schools, we have been excluded from our own jobs, we have been excluded from our own economies, our own township, like every single thing, we have been excluded from it as citizens of the country. And and also, our people are being killed brutally and horribly. And then when we are asking them, but how can you do this? This is the tender woman saying, but you bit me and you know that your poison is going to kill me. And then the answer that we are getting from these people is, but what did you expect? What do you expect from us? What do you expect? Because we are here to get what we want. We have never cared about you in the first place. Sorry, really. If they were to be honest with us, they would say that sorry, I'm really sorry that we gave you a different impression than the reality of the situation, because the reality is that we never came here to build anything with you. We came here to take whatever it is that we could take from you, and we could not care less about what would happen to you. That's the reality of the situation. All right. They could not be bothered about what happens to us. They are here for what they are here for. Okay, so that's that. So the last point here is the coup. Okay, let's talk about the coup, which is point number 7. So I'm not comfortable with coups. I'm really not comfortable. Coups are very, very tricky, okay, because these things are things that you have to be very, very, I don't know, like, I mean, Burkina Faso was very lucky that Traore had great intentions for them. You understand? But many a times when people take over the country like that, and I think also during the time of Muammar Gaddafi, when he took over, he had great intentions for the country and he really prospered the country until the globalists destroyed it. You understand? And they destroyed him. But those are rare occasions. Majority of the time, when people come and take over the country, it's usually horrible people and they come with really bad intention. When people come and take over a country and do a coup, usually these people are there for nefarious reasons. So it's those rare occasions when you will come across people like Traore or Muammar Gaddafi, that it's like, okay, these people are actually very much interested in the country and they really want to do what is best for the citizens. Okay, so I'm concerned here in South Africa that if we were to have a coup, who is it that would be the person that would be taking over? Because we might find ourselves dealing with a situation where, as I said previously, this is a representative of some kind of Middle Eastern type of regime, and they coming here and then they're taking over. Because once again, we've got our military, and a coup is usually done by people that are in the military. We've got our military, but we don't know who they're representing now. We don't, because everyone is in someone's pockets in our country. Like, we don't have a government anymore. Do you understand that we don't have a happen? I've never seen such a thing. We are so vulnerable, it's so scary. Like, so we don't have like, even every single department in our country has been bought and sold, or sold and bought and sold, yes, to some kind of other forces that we don't even know. So what happened recently with our general going to that Middle Eastern country, it looks like that tells a story about basically, in whose hands is our military in. You understand? So I wouldn't feel comfortable if someone that is under the control of people from the Middle East takes over our country. Honestly, the only coup that I would ever support is one that is by Mukwanazi. Okay, the General Mukwanazi. That's the only one that I might, support, kind of like, I'd be like, okay, fine. At least maybe there's hope. I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know what I don't know about him. But at least I know a little bit about him to say, okay, maybe, I don't know, I might give him a chance, kind of a thing in my mind. But other than that, I don't trust anyone else to have to take over our country. You understand? If there were to be a coup, because as I said, where we are right now, we are very, very vulnerable to a coup. Like, anytime, anyone right now could just spring up and decide, you know what, I'm taking over this country. Okay. And there'll be very little to nothing that, anyone can do about it. Okay. So I will only ever support, even if it's with caution, I'll only ever support Kwanazi for those type of moves. But anyone else, no, I'm not 100% sure about it. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission. I know it was not easy because, it's Sunday today. And yeah, it's one of those things, but I just needed to rent. Okay. So, yeah, until next time, goodbye.